Okay, 2.0, right? It's the RPM engine update. Got a phone call from Renne Pearson at Swedetech. Last weekend, they were off from Wednesday to Monday. He was off doing, chasing customers, helping out customers at the Rock Cup, wherever they were out in California there. So, really he didn't get started on the motor until this week. Got back to the shop and tore it apart, and super impressed. I don't know why I would expect any less from anybody else. I'm sure all the major motor builders do this, but being a fresh rebuild, new bearings, new seals, new rod bearing washers, crank job, new wrist pin, new upper bearing, clips, piston, ring, everything except the head and the jug. And I told Renne that in the note included in the package that the chrome was, from what I was told, the amount of time the motor had on it when I got it was only 4 to 6 hours. So it was stock standard factory chrome, and he said it wasn't. He took it apart. He measured the bore. He said the bore was a little out of round, a couple hundredths. He said, not exactly sure what that means. I mean. I don't know if that's hundredths of a millimeter or because he's Swedish, right? He's European. I know I fit the piston in that engine, and it should have had, but we intended to run it at Daytona. It should have had about 3 to 3.5 thousandths of total clearance, which I like to run them a little big. I don't like the weight on the water temperature. When you run them a little bit big, do you give up a little power? Maybe. But down in Daytona, you want everything loose and free, so it makes over rev. You don't want it tight. It doesn't like tight. And with a little bit more wall clearance, like I said, I get up to 100 degrees of water. I can hop in, put it in gear, and go. And, a lap of getting up to speed, second lap, I can hammer the daylights out of it. I know guys that if they don't wait until they see 140, 150, especially on some of those twins and stuff, they cold stick, they blow up. So when you only get 8 minutes of practice at a race, you got, unless you're going to warm the thing up for 25 minutes, 20 minutes before your 8-minute practice session, it's beneficial, I think, just to be able to head out on the track before getting up to meltdown temperature. So anyway, back to Renne. He said, it's not factory chrome. I said, but there's no numbers. He said, yeah, he found numbers on the cylinder on the back. They were barely legible, or they were stamped in there very lightly. So I was a little bummed out, but it did explain some things. Why the rod went out of the motor at MIS to begin with after only about, maybe 10 total hours. It must have obviously had more time on it than Ryan out at Two Wild Karting in California, who took the motor out of a box originally and did the initial running on it at first. He told me to consider 6, just guess big. He said 4 hours for sure that he put on it. And when the guy I bought it from bought the engine from Ryan, and he was down in Florida, he said he mounted the motor on the cart but never ran it. Health issue, something with his leg, surgery, something, and he got out of racing. Obviously, between Ryan and it going to Florida and getting to me in Michigan, somebody blew it up. Somebody heard it, and it needed to be recoated, stripped and recoated. So Rennie's concern is because it's not stock standard factory Nicosil, that when he ports it, there's a chance that the Nicosil could chip off the jug. So he's going to try to do the porting, and without hurting it, he's going to try to be real careful. So at the very least, I can still get it back on time to do the track day at Grattan. If he chips it and it needs to be stripped and replated, which it probably in his mind should be done anyway. That way the plating is into the ports, and when he smooths it out, it's covered over. I don't know how else to explain this other than if you're a go-kart guy and you're an enduro guy, you've ever cut out wheel openings on your fiberglass, right? Imagine painting your fiberglass before you cut it out. And then when you cut it out, the edge where it's cut around the wheel opening, right, will literally be like a sandwich. You'll have your fiberglass, then you'll have your primer, then you'll have your paint, and the edge will be exposed. If you were to take an air chuck with a good air pressure, you could hit the edge of that and literally blow paint and stuff right off. What I do is I do all my fitting first, then I scuff and sand it all down, and then when I paint it, not only do I paint that edge and into the inside, I also, if I'm going to use clear, I put clear on the outside, clear on that edge, and clear into the inside so it's sealed all the way around. So there's no exposed sandwich layers. Follow me? Renne said the same basic thing with the Nikasil. You don't want to just have aluminum then plating exposed on the edge of all those ports like that. The chance of rings going up and down, chance of it, even if it's beveled, rounded over, whatever, dressed correctly, properly, you could still have a problem. So he said, listen, this is what we'll do. I'll do the porting. If nothing happens, I'll get it back to you. You can go to your track test, maybe even do your dyno testing, and then send the cylinder out, have it stripped, plated, tell them not to touch it, have them send it to me. He will go back in and touch the ports and then send it to me. Then now we're ready for Daytona. We'll already have the cylinder, lack of a better explanation, clocked in the correct height in 360 degrees of rotation, the ports. He'll have already have that all worked up. He'll get it back, clean it up, right, and then it's just a matter of putting it back together the way it came the first time. We go to Daytona without, we still having to break the motor in, but there's worse things, right? Worst case, he has to do it. He chips it and he has to send it out to be plated, fixed, and all that. The good thing about that is we get it back. The motor's done. Chrome is good. No more issues. Don't have to take it apart, send it out. And I can still get over to John's and put it on the dyno and get the motor broke in, then run different carburetors on it, different pipes on it, different combinations of those carbs and pipes and silencers, and find out what package of crap that we bolt on actually does the most good. Then the motor's broke in. We have the parts. We haven't got to actually run it, put our butt in the seat and run it. But that's really just wish list for me, to be honest. If I have to choose between paying a few more bucks and just getting the chrome done now and getting a motor back that I don't have to send out and don't have to deal with, just get it broke in, and then get the cart ready for Daytona, I think I'd rather do that. I appreciate what Rennie's trying to do, trying to give me as much to work with as possible. He's, talking to him and telling him, listen, I'm not a young guy. I'm an older guy. I'm a lay-down guy. This is it. This is our crack. This is our last shot at winning the big trophy down at Daytona. And he's going to do his best to help us do that, which is cool. He's actually had his hands in probably all the Paveses that are going to be down there that we're going to race against. So that's also pretty cool. That, he doesn't treat you any differently because you're going to be racing against other customers of his. So there you go. That's the story. He said, the head looked beat up. I said, well, obviously it launched a lower rod bearing. So, of course, the head's going to look a little butchered. He knew it had been cut because he knew that the O-ring seats in the head, the little recesses cut in the head for the stud O-rings, was not as deep as they should have been. So he knew it had been cut. So he's not going to make those any deeper. And I haven't had a problem with pinching those off and having an issue. I've run the head that way. We had it cut. Pretty much all the running we've done on it, was done like that. So we haven't had any issue with it. He said the exhaust port height was already up a little higher than the Vortex cylinders he's got experienced in the past. So he may cut a little off the bottom to bring everything down, then set everything again, and then rework things. So listen, he's the expert. So I completely trust what he explained he needed to do is necessary and needs to be done. So there you go. The bottom end will get ported. The intake is ported. The cylinder's ported. He's going to work on the head, and hopefully we get it back in 2 weeks, and it's ready to go. If not, it needs to be plated. Then he said it's 3 weeks for plating. So we're done until almost Thanksgiving before we can get over to Johnny's and run this thing. So giving me more time, I guess, to get the new kingpins on the cart because I want the new front end parts on the cart before we go to Daytona. Everything's a little sloppy because it's all been run in for a long time. So yep, that's it. Little RPM update on the Swedetech modified Vortex RVXX, and excited about the possibilities. Not even just getting to Daytona, but next year as well. I mean, if the thing goes as good as I feel it's going to at Daytona, even if we don't win, you know, I still think closed course we have the best handling go-kart. It's hands down. We have the best handling go-kart in of all the 125 shifters that are out there. Brand new ones, old ones, fixed up ones, modified ones, retrofitted ones. Doesn't matter. We have the best kart. We've proven it. We've gone right around the outside of guys where you shouldn't even be out there, and we've gone around and passed 2 and 3 guys at one time. So we may not have had the best top speed. I may not be the skinniest and best shaped guy, but we have the best kart. If we get a good motor, Mid-Ohio, I would be very prepared, I guess you'd say, very confident going into a Mid-Ohio or even into a Pittsburgh like this weekend here. You're really not all that motivated to go to Pittsburgh. I don't know. I'm just not crazy about that whole traveling the turnpike thing and all that. But Mid-Ohio, it's been a long time. I've always run good at Mid-Ohio. We have very good results at Mid-Ohio. It's not a favorite of mine or anything. It doesn't stand out other than we've had very good finishing results there. So that's it for now. We're done for the 25th. Done and done. I'll get out in the garage of my house tomorrow and clean the place up a little bit, get a little bit more grinding and welding done, and maybe start putting that thing back together, you know. Get floor tray under it. We got the nose over here. Just start getting things together over there. But for all of us here, which is just me and Clint Boyer in Racing Roseville, I'm Robert. God bless you. Godspeed. I'm praying for you. Hang in there, folks. It'll get better. I promise.